Hello, this is Nageswara, School Assistant in English. Today, I would like to deal with relative clauses, which are also called adjective clauses, and how to combine sentences with relative clauses. So, this is the topic. First of all, I would like to say one thing, that all relative clauses are subordinate or dependent clauses. That means all relative clauses, they depend on the main clauses. A relative clause is also called an adjective clause. Why? Because it qualifies the subject that comes before it. That means it says something about the subject that comes before it. Relative clauses begin with relative pronouns. What are these relative pronouns? Who, whom, whose, which, and that. Who, whom, whose. These three, they refer to persons. Which refers to only things, and that refers to things as well as persons. When do we use this who? First, we use who as a subjective case. Whom is used in place of an objective case, and whose is used in place of a possessive pronoun. So all these who, whom, and whose, all these relative pronouns refer to persons only, which refers to things and sometimes to animals, and that refers to persons or things. Now let us go to the other thing, that is different types of relative clauses or adjective clauses. There are two types of relative clauses. What are they? First one, defining relative clauses. Defining relative clauses. Why these clauses are called defining relative clauses? Because they make their indefinite subjects definite. That means, for example, look at this example. The man is honest. He is trusted by all. Here, in the first sentence, the man is the subject. In the second sentence, he is trusted by all. So this is actually the main clause. The man is trusted by all is the main clause. Here, the man is trusted by all. If I say like this, you will immediately ask me, which man is trusted by all? Which man is trusted by all? Because the man means you don't know which man I am speaking about. So you immediately ask me, which man is trusted by all? Then I have to add something. I have to define who that person is. For that, I use a relative clause of first type. That means defining relative clause. So if you are, if we have to combine these two sentences, we have to say like this: the man who is honest is trusted by all. The man who is honest is trusted by all. So if you delete this who is honest, the sentence remains meaningless, because the man is trusted by all. If I say like this, you will immediately ask me who the man is, what is his identity. So the subject is indefinite without who is honest, this relative clause. That's why this relative clause, who is honest, is a part of the man, the subject. So the man who is honest is the defining relative clause. Is trusted by all, it is a part of the main clause. This is right. The man who is trusted by all is honest. If I say like this is incorrect, because the man who is trusted by all is honest. This is incorrect. Because why he is trusted by all? Because he is honest. So honesty is his quality. So if you write like this, the man who is trusted by all is honest, it doesn't convey the meaning. It doesn't convey the correct meaning. Now let us go to another example. The sentry witnessed the strength of the potter. He gave full details to his king. The sentry is the subject here. The sentry is the subject. Gave full details to the king. That is the predicate. Of course, that is a part of the main clause. The sentry gave full details to his king. Which sentry? Immediately the question arises. Which sentry gave full details to his king? So the sentry is a subject which is indefinite in meaning. To make it definite, we have to use a defining relative clause. So in place of the sentry, we use the relative pronoun who, because the sentry is a person. So the sentry who witnessed the strength of the potter gave full details to his king. This is correct. Because without who witnessed the strength of the potter, the sentry, the word sentry, the phrase sentry has no identity. It has no definiteness. Next, the sentry, comma, who witnessed the strength of the potter gave full details to his king. If I write like this, it is incorrect because who witnessed the strength of the potter is a relative clause which is kept between two commas here. Before who, there is a comma, and after the clause also, there is a comma. So if you delete who witnessed the strength of the potter, because it is in brackets, if you delete it, the sentry gave full details to his king. It remains meaningless. So who witnessed the strength of the king, it just adds extra information about the sentry. It is not a part of the subject. It is not a part of the subordinate clause here. Next one. So that's why the first sentence, the sentry who witnessed the strength of the potter, is called a defining relative clause. The sentry who witnessed the strength of the potter gave full details to his king is called an indefinite relative clause. So this is incorrect here because it doesn't convey the correct meaning. Next, let us go to another example. The woman taught Nick surfing. The woman taught Nick surfing. The woman is the subject. She had been bitten by a shark. So the woman taught Nick surfing. She had been bitten by a shark. Which woman taught Nick surfing? The question arises. The woman taught Nick surfing. If I say like this, the question arises. Which woman taught Nick surfing? So to complete the meaning of that woman, to add something to say something about that woman, I have to write now the woman who taught Nick surfing. So I am defining who that woman is by using this relative clause without using a comma. The woman who taught Nick surfing had been bitten by a shark. This is a defining relative clause, who taught Nick surfing. So this is the correct one. And if I write like this, the woman, comma, who taught Nick surfing, comma, had been bitten by a shark, this remains incorrect because if you put commas before and after a relative clause, it means that this clause it is not a part of the sentence. Actually, it just adds extra information. It does not define or it does not say anything about the subject. It adds extra information about its preceding subject. Now let us go to non-defining relative clauses. These non-defining relative clauses, they do not define their subjects. They just give extra information, as we have already seen in the previous examples. A non-defining relative clause begins with a proper noun, a possessive adjective, a demonstrative adjective. See, it is easier to identify non-defining relative clauses or adjective clauses. How? Because they usually begin with a proper noun, a possessive adjective, or a demonstrative adjective. Let us discuss some examples here. Example number 1. Caesar was ambitious. He was punished. Caesar is the noun here. He was punished. He is the pronoun here. So he refers to whom? Caesar only. Caesar is a pronoun, a proper noun. Sorry, it's a proper noun. So when a proper noun is given, we know who that person is. Caesar was ambitious. That sentence itself has its own meaning. It doesn't depend on any other clause or any other part for the completion of its meaning. Caesar was ambitious because we know who that Caesar is because it's a proper noun. He was punished. So if we have to combine these two sentences, we use a non-defining relative clause like this: Caesar, comma, who was ambitious, was punished. So the actual clause is, the main clause is Caesar, subject, was punished, predicate. This is the main clause. Who was ambitious? Even if you delete who was ambitious, Caesar was punished, this sentence has its own meaning. So that's why this who was ambitious, this clause, this subordinate clause, it just adds extra information about the subject Caesar, which is a proper noun. So that's why this clause who was ambitious is called a non-defining relative clause. Next, let us go to another example. His uncle works in the USA. His uncle works in the USA. He is a doctor. So his uncle works in the USA. He is a doctor. So his uncle, comma, who works in the USA is a doctor. So here also, who works in the USA is a non-defining relative clause because his uncle is a doctor. So I am referring to a particular person's uncle. So that's why I know who that person is. So this subject is clear. It does not depend on this relative clause. His uncle is a doctor. That is the main clause actually. So who works in the USA, it adds extra information about his uncle. That's why this who works in the USA, this non-defining relative clause is kept in between commas. Now let us go to another example. The doctor said the pill was sweet. It was not true. So it refers to what here? The doctor said the pill was sweet. It was not true. So it refers to what here? The doctor said the pill was sweet. That means the doctor's saying that the doctor's statement that the pill was sweet. So it refers to not just the pill. It refers to the whole clause here. The doctor said the pill was sweet. So it refers to the whole clause here. So this must be kept in a non-defining relative clause form only. So the doctor said the pill was sweet. So this sentence is independent of its meaning. It does not depend on any other part or any other clause. So this sentence, the doctor said the pill was sweet, is independent. So that's why put a comma, and in place of it, we use which was not true. So which was not true is a non-defining relative clause, and it just adds extra information about what the doctor said about the pill. Now let us go to the fourth example. The doctor gave me a pill, it was bitter. So this sentence is unlike the preceding one or the previous one. The doctor gave me a pill, it was sweet. It refers to what here? Not the doctor's statement. In the first one, it refers to the doctor's statement, but here it refers to a pill only. So the doctor gave me a pill. Pill is something, it's not a person. That's why in place of it, we can use which. So the doctor gave me a pill. This is an independent sentence. Put a comma here, and in place of it, use which was better. This subordinate clause is a non-defining relative clause, and it adds extra information about the doctor gave me a pill, this main clause. Now let us go to another example. I met Raghu. He was my childhood friend. I met Raghu. Raghu is a proper noun here. Raghu is a proper noun. So that's why we have to use a non-defining relative clause. I met Raghu. He means who here? Not I. He refers to Raghu only. That's why I met Raghu. Put a comma here. who was my childhood friend. So who was my childhood friend has nothing to do with the meaning of I met, the completion of the meaning of the sentence, I met Raghu. It just adds extra information about the previous clause. The question came from the homeopath. It was about snakes. The question came from the homeopath. It was about snakes. It means what here? The question that came from the homeopath. So it refers to the question came from the homeopath. So it refers to the whole statement in the first sentence. So in place of it, we can use which. So the question, which are that, because to refer to something we can use which are that. So the question which came from the homeopath was about snakes. The question was about snakes. Which question? That came from the homeopath or which came from the homeopath. So that came from the homeopath or which came from the homeopath is it is defining the subject, the question. So this is a defining relative clause here. Okay. Now, in this video, what we have discussed so far is defining relative relative clauses are also called adjective clauses, and they are also called subordinate clauses or dependent clauses. And relative clauses are formed by using relative pronouns who, whom, whose, which, and that. And who, whom, whose, they refer to persons, and which refers to things or animals, and that refers to persons or animals. So in this way, we can say that defining relative clauses and non-defining relative clauses. So in defining relative clauses, the relative clause is a part of the subject. Without, if you delete the if you delete the clause, that means the relative clause, the subject has no identity. So to give identity to the subject, defining relative clauses are used. And non-defining relative clauses, they have nothing to do with the subject. So even after deleting the non-defining relative clauses, the main clause has its own meaning. The subject has its own identity. So that's why, and moreover, non-defining relative clauses, they are used between commas or after the completion of a main clause. For example, the doctor said the pill was sweet. This is a complete sentence, complete clause. Which was not true, it is added after this statement. Even if you delete it, the meaning does not change. Like this, we can define what a relative clause is and when a defining relative clause is used and when a non-defining relative clause is used. Well, friends, if you like the video, do press the subscribe button and share your opinion with me. Thank you all.